So all the way back in April of this year we planted our main crop potatoes. We planted around 30 different buckets of them. We planted some Setanta, some Java, some Cara, and also some blue potatoes as well, some Blue Annelise potatoes. I'm really excited to see how them blue potatoes are. I've got my mother with me today and she's going to be helping us harvest some of these potatoes. We're not going to harvest all of them because I don't want to have to process all of them at once. I'm just going to harvest a few buckets today and leave the rest in the buckets to harvest them a little bit later, I think. So we're going to harvest the blue potatoes first. The blue potatoes sound quite interesting, although I can't imagine blue mashed potato.
I've never seen blue potatoes.
I've never seen them before, ever. This is just for fun really, something new, just an experiment, see how they do, see how they taste. I'm sure they'll taste very interesting. But before we get into harvesting these potatoes, I'm just going to quickly go over how I grew them. I planted them in these 30-litre buckets here. Really good size for growing your potatoes in. I planted 2 main crop potatoes in each bucket. I planted them in some multi-purpose compost with a little bit of well-rotted horse manure. I incorporated some bloodfish and bone and some Vitax organic potato fertilizer as well, which is brilliant stuff. I've not actually mulched these with any straw. I've gotten away with that because it's been a really wet summer, so I've not really had a problem with watering. In fact, I've not really watered these at all. I think I've only watered them like once because it's been so wet, so I've had an easy time watering them. Now when the potatoes began to grow and reached around 6 inches tall, I added more compost in there to help the side shoots grow from the sides of the stem, or stolons, or whichever you want to call them, and this can help produce more potatoes. I've also snipped the foliage down to the soil level as well because there was some potato blight, so I've done that, and I've also left them in these buckets for 2 weeks for the skins to harden. I think that's everything. Without further ado, let's get harvesting these potatoes. I'm really excited to see what we've got, and I'm not too sure how they've done. I'm not expecting too much because we did have the blight, but we'll see. Hopefully we've got a good harvest. Okay, so here we are, Blue Annelise potatoes. Let's have a look at what we've got.
Ooh.
Some bugs in there. Wow, there's quite a few of them.
Oh.
Slugs in there. Quite a few slugs.
Oh, red ants.
Oh dear. It's not looking very good, to be honest. It looks like they've looks like the slugs have had a bit of a feast, to be honest, in here, haven't they? Okay, that one's a half decent one. There's one there with holes in. Yeah, that one's, look at that, wow. Oh dear me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness me. Okay, the blue potatoes aren't looking very good. That was a decent one.
Yeah, I've got another decent one here.
There's some that are okay, I think.
Oh wow, that's quite, look at that.
That's a decent one. Oh dear.
Oh, there's quite a few. Hold on.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
There's little diddy widdy widdy ones.
It's a shame.
Here you go, there's another good one there.
There we go. It's a half decent sized one, although there is a bit of rot on the side of that one there. I blame the wet weather for that. To be fair, I only planted a few of these. I think it was only like 3 or 4 small seed potatoes. So I didn't plant a great deal of these blue ones. That's from one bucket. Do you know what? That's not actually too bad. I have thrown a couple of them out with some damage on them. Slug damage. But I suppose that's not too bad. Only an experiment. I only planted like 4 seed potatoes and they were only like that big. They were really small, so that's not too bad at all. Blue Annelise potatoes. We'll see how they taste though. We'll see how they taste. So the next potato which we're going to harvest, they're actually labelled Setanta. It's going to be Setanta. Let's see what we've got there, shall we?
Oh!
Wow, the soil is very wet.
Nah. Oh.
That's the seed potato. Yeah, there is some wireworm damage by the looks of it. That was a real pain. They're not too bad, those. We'll put them in that bucket, I think. Yeah, they're not a bad size though, really, them, are they?
No.
They're not too bad.
And what was the name of these ones again?
Setanta. Let's do another one here.
Is this Setanta as well?
This is Setanta, I think.
Yeah.
I'll say otherwise. I can tell which one's which. Right, looking at the potato. Yeah, these are Setanta as well. We'll put them at the front here.
This soil feels really dry.
Yeah, this stuff is drier. They're sort of like large new potatoes, a lot of them.
Oh, bit of blight on that one.
That's a decent one. It's a decent potato there. Bit of blight.
Yeah.
It's rotten, that one, isn't it? It's okay.
There's some good ones in this bucket, James.
Not too bad. I think they're Setanta. They could be Java, actually. They do look like Java. So maybe they are Java, I don't know. Doesn't really matter, I suppose, does it?
There's some at the back here.
Yeah, that bucket's a bit better, isn't it?
Get right down to the bottom.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think they could have done better if it wasn't for the blight. The blight did come along in July, and they could have had more growth on them, I think. Yeah, I did have to cut them back quite early on. So yeah, those are Java, not Setanta. I think we've got some more Java here, which will come out.
Yeah, these are the same as
Java
these.
again, isn't it? Yeah. Not too bad at all. Not too bad. They're not giant potatoes, but you know, they're just. You can just get away with peeling them, I think. I may even save some of these for next year's seed potatoes, actually. Possibly. If there's no blight on them. It's like digging for gold, isn't it? But it's not. They're not golden, they're red. Setanta, again, I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, they're definitely Setanta. Yeah.
These are these ones, yeah.
Yeah, don't look too bad at all, these, do they? Got to bear in mind as well, the rats were digging a few of these up as well, so we did lose a few. Okay.
Oh, there's one there.
That's another bucket of Setanta. I'm going to get some Cara potatoes, which are white ones. Right. So this is Cara. It's a white potato with lovely pink eyes, I think. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Let's put them at the front there. A decent size. Lovely. Very similar to King Edward. King Edward are like this sort of colour. Including the blue one.
This is a pink one. Oh!
Okay, that's...
Oh!
Okay, never mind, we'll scrap that. We'll forget that was... Yeah, it's a bit of a blip, they're not... I thought they were Cara. Never mind, they're not. There's loads of red ones over here actually. What the bloody hell's going on here? Okay, so another bucket of Cara. Let's have a look what we've got. Too bad at all. You know, they're not huge. They're not huge. I mean, I think if it wasn't for the blight, and if we were able to leave these longer and not cut them back, we'd probably have bigger potatoes. So that's 7 buckets of potatoes there in total. We harvested a bucket of Annelise potatoes, a couple of buckets of Cara, a couple of buckets of Setanta, and then the rest of them were these Java potatoes. Not too bad, to be honest. I'm quite happy with those, considering we had the blight.
And that's not all of them, don't forget. That's only,
yeah, we've still got like 20 more buckets.
The majority of buckets to do.
We've still got more buckets to do. I mean, look at that one, that's probably one of our best ones. It's alright, isn't it? That's not too bad. Jacket potato. Now I actually came back to the allotment a few days later to pick a few more of these potatoes. So I'd just like to add this to the video as well, just so I can explain what went well and what didn't go well with these potatoes, and what I can do differently to make sure that we get better results next year, because we've not had the best results this year with the potatoes. Now this is the crop which I just harvested from a few more buckets. There's still quite a few buckets left to harvest, but I've just done a few more there. And yeah, there are some pretty decent sized potatoes, a lot of small ones as well, mostly small ones with the few that are a decent size. Now usually I'd end up with a bigger yield than this, to be honest. Usually I'd have potatoes in September that were all this big, if not bigger than this. Definitely not a failure, decent crop I suppose, you know, at least we've got something, but definitely not as big as usual. The blight came in July and wiped these potatoes out. I had to cut them right back, so that was a problem. I would have expected to have at least another month of growth on them because there was loads of foliage on them. To be honest, I did plant these a bit later than normal, so maybe I should have planted them earlier to give more growing time. I planted these right at the end of April, so maybe I should have done them at the end of March, maybe early April, and got a bit more growing time in. I'm a bit surprised they got blight, really. I wasn't really expecting it because they are blight resistant varieties. But another point is I probably put the buckets too close together. There wasn't enough airflow around the potato plants. They were quite clumped together because on this plot I'm sort of running out of space. That's another reason why we've got the new plot, by the way. We're going to be putting all these potato buckets on there next year, so we've got more space to do stuff. So hopefully we can combat the issue with airflow around plants next year by putting them on the new plot. So the first point, plant them earlier next year. Second point, allow better airflow around plants, don't put them as close together. And the third point, it was a very wet summer. Definitely a very wet summer. The compost in these buckets got too wet. When I was tipping the buckets out the other day with my mum, I noticed how wet they were. Very, very wet indeed. There was some well-rotted horse manure in here, which probably made it even more wet. It held too much moisture. I didn't even water those potato buckets during the summer either. I only remember watering them once early on. I didn't even have to mulch them. Usually I apply a straw mulch and I'm watering them like nearly every day. This year I didn't have to do that because of the sheer amount of rain which we had this year. So the third point, maybe I should make sure that they're better draining next year. I mean, the potato buckets themselves, you know, they do have decent holes in the bottom, you know, so that's not an issue. But I think the compost in there just held onto too much moisture. Maybe if I incorporate sand or something like that to help it drain better next year, that might help. But we might have a very dry summer next year, we just don't know. But the third point is it was very wet, and I think that affected the way that these grew as well. So those are my 3 points. Those are the 3 things that I think have affected the growth of these potatoes. So not a failure, far from it, but more of a what we can do next year to get a better crop, because we definitely have had a lower yield than normal here. I hope you managed to find this video useful and you learned something. Hopefully I can help you guys out as well, and that is what I'm going to be doing next year to hopefully achieve a better crop. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Happy gardening and stay safe.